The dawn over Aereo station burned like molten silver, spilling through the domes that hovered above the planet's pale atmosphere. It wasn't the kind of sunrise that comforted anyone, it was the sort that reminded you how thin the line was between light and oblivion. Inside the hall, diplomats shimmered in metallic robes, pretending that history was being written, when in truth, everyone was just waiting for someone else to blink first. I wasn't supposed to be there. I was a maintenance engineer, rank 3, caffeine-dependent, allergic to politics. My supervisor said my presence would represent the working class. Translation: I lost a bet. So, I stood in the back, next to a refreshment unit dispensing things that looked like dehydrated frogs, and tried to look invisible. At the center of it all stood Leora of the Veiled Spectrum, the alien woman no one dared approach. Her skin was a cascade of shifting light, like liquid crystal bending around invisible waves. Two slender ears, long and gleaming violet, curved backward in elegant arcs, twitching at frequencies beyond my range. She didn't move much, but somehow, the room revolved around her. Rumor said her touch could drain the warmth from a human's heart. Maybe it was propaganda. Maybe it was true. Either way, no one was volunteering to find out. The ceremony dragged on. Every planetary envoy had found a new excuse not to fulfill the treaty clause that required one human to bond with her. The representative from Mars claimed religious allergies. The Titan delegation fainted with suspicious precision. Even the lunar diplomat mumbled about quantum incompatibility. The silence that followed was unbearable, the kind that makes you hyper-aware of your own breathing. Leora stood motionless under the lights, her hands folded, bioluminescent strands rippling beneath her translucent skin. The treaty was collapsing. The peace would shatter with it. The Let-Hari Dominion, the species she represented, didn't handle rejection well. Somewhere between the politics, fear, and expensive fabric, the galaxy teetered on the edge of war. And me? I was thinking two extremely bad words: why not? My boots clicked on the deck as I stepped forward. Heads turned, first one, then all of them. The ambassador's jaw dropped so fast it nearly dislocated. "I'll do it," I said, surprising even myself. The collective gasp felt like someone had just punched oxygen out of the room. "You, volunteer?" the lead ambassador stammered. "Yeah," I said, trying to sound casual while my inside staged a rebellion. "Marriage, unity, shared panic, whatever the fine print says." Somebody coughed. Somebody else whispered, "Is he insane?" Fair question. Leora turned toward me. For the first time, her eyes met mine, except they weren't eyes at all. They were twin spirals of starlight, alive and shifting, pulling me in. "You would bind your life to mine?" she asked. Her voice wasn't a sound so much as a vibration that settled behind my ribs. I swallowed hard. Impulse decisions are my specialty. A flicker of something, amusement, curiosity, maybe both, crossed her face. Around us, the crowd exhaled in disbelief. The scribe scrambled to activate a glowing sigil between us. "Touch the seal," the ambassador said, trembling. "And the pact will be bound." Leora extended her hand, long fingers shimmering like glass dipped in frost. I took it, instantly regretting it when static danced up my arm, sharp and electric. The air temperature dropped. The sigil flared with a cold, white light that filled the room. And just like that, the applause broke out. Thin, uncertain, but real. The deal was done. The galaxy wasn't at war, yet. I just married an alien emissary whose people could probably vaporize me by sneezing. The rest was a blur of signatures and forced smiles. People congratulated me with the same enthusiasm used for attending funerals. When the last handshake ended, I staggered toward the nearest console and demanded coffee. The station's AI flickered to life as a glowing polygon above the dispenser. "Congratulations, Technician Kale Drayan," it said flatly. "You've successfully secured the most diplomatically unstable union in recorded history. Do I get hazard pay for that?" Request denied. Figures. When I returned to the main hall, Leora stood waiting. Her gaze fixed on me, calm, calculating, unblinking. You are unlike your peers, she said. I'll take that as a compliment. It was not meant as such. I grinned. Perfect. We're already arguing. Great start to a marriage. She blinked, the faintest twitch of her ears betraying, was that humor? Walk with me, she said. We left the hall behind, our footsteps echoing in the metallic corridor. The hum of Aereo Station surrounded us, a mechanical heartbeat in the dark. Through the transparent walls, the stars stretched infinite and cold. Leora paused at the observation dome, placing her hand against the glass. Your species sees beauty in emptiness, she murmured. We see warning. Maybe it's both, I said. Depends on how much coffee you've had. Her head tilted again, and for an instant, her expression softened, a shimmer of light bending toward warmth. You are strange, Kale Drayan, she said. But perhaps strangeness is what this galaxy requires. Glad to be of cosmic service. We stood side by side, reflected in the glass, the engineer and the alien emissary, two mismatched beings staring into eternity. Somewhere deep inside, I felt a quiet shift. Something irreversible had begun. And as the dawn spread its light over the curve of the planet below, I realized I had no idea what I just agreed to. But it was already far too late to turn back. When I woke the next morning, the station lights were too bright, too cheerful, like it was mocking me. A holographic notice hovered over my bunk, marriage confirmed. Union active. Below it blinked a smaller line, shared rations granted. Great, I muttered. Eternal bond and extra snacks. My head pounded with what felt like the echo of alien champagne. The AI's voice purred through the intercom, too smug for something without a face. Good morning, Technician Drayan. Your spouse requests your presence in the diplomatic suite. My what? Your spouse, Leora of the Veiled Spectrum. The one you married yesterday. Remember? Oh, right. The glowing one. Hard to forget. When I arrived, she was standing by a panoramic window, her form wrapped in silver light. The room looked like someone had designed it while hallucinating geometry, walls that rippled, furniture that appeared only when needed. You are late, she said without turning. I prefer to think of it as fashionably delayed. Her long ears twitched. Your humor continues to perplex me. That's part of the charm. You'll get used to it. I doubt it. She gestured toward a translucent chair that grew from the floor, and I sat cautiously, half expecting it to eat me. I have studied your species' marital customs, she began. They are inefficient. That's one word for it. You devote excessive energy to ritual and sentiment. Success rates remain below 50%. Optimism with paperwork, I said. It's a human specialty. She blinked slowly, as though filing that under incomprehensible. Nevertheless, she continued, if we are to coexist, I propose a cultural exchange. Does that involve glowing crystals or chanting over cosmic goo? Her expression didn't change. Not initially. She waved her hand and the wall shifted into a map of constellations, glowing softly. These are the harmonic frequencies of Lethar Prime. Each pattern represents an emotion. Looks like someone spilled art supplies on the sky, I said. Her luminous gaze turned sharp. It is the language of our hearts. Right. My bad. Very moving art supplies. She studied me for a long time, then said, your people express feeling with words. Ours with resonance. When emotion builds, it disturbs the field. So when you feel something, reality gets a little shaky. Correct. That explains marriage, honestly. Leora didn't laugh, she never laughed, but her ears flicked faintly, as if some invisible wind stirred them. We spent hours exchanging nonsense. She taught me about their crystalline architecture, how they weave light into hair during rites of passage. I taught her about sarcasm, coffee addiction, and the sacred human tradition of complaining about everything. She tried to imitate laughter. It came out as a soft chime, halfway between wind and water. I told her it was beautiful. She told me it was biologically confusing. Later, I introduced her to the vending unit. She observed in fascination as it clattered out a foil packet of fried nutrient crisps. "These are extraordinary," she said after tasting one. Her ears flared violet. "Told you. The pinnacle of human culture." By midday, the gossip had spread faster than a solar flare. Crew members stared when I passed, whispering, "That's him, the guy who married the emissary." Some looked impressed. Most looked like they were already writing my obituary. My supervisor cornered me near the engine bay. "Drayan, do you have any idea what diplomatic chaos you've caused?" "Yeah," I said, "I thought I'd start small. Maybe fix breakfast next." He groaned. "If she sneezes, 3 galaxies could go to war. Then I'll keep tissues handy." When I returned to her suite that evening, the artificial sunset bathed everything in amber. She sat by the window, staring into the void where the planet's clouds glowed faintly. "Your world is loud," she murmured. "Every heartbeat echoes through the metal." "Welcome to humanity," I said, leaning beside her. "We fill silence so it doesn't fill us." She turned, her luminous eyes dimming to a soft blue. "And what does silence say to you?" "That I'm in over my head. But the view's nice." Something passed across her face, an almost smile. "You are strange, Kale Drayan. Yet, your presence lessens the static." That's the nicest insult I've ever received. It was not intended as insult. Even better. The lights dimmed further, mimicking twilight. We stood together before the glass, our reflections framed by infinite stars. In that moment, I realized something quietly terrifying: the space between us wasn't just diplomatic anymore. It was alive, electric. And as her light flickered faintly across my skin, I couldn't tell whether the hum I felt was from the station or my own heartbeat syncing with hers. The trouble started with a flicker, lights dimming in neat, rhythmic pulses, 3 long, 2 short, 3 long. Morse code. Help. At first, I thought it was a joke. Aerio's station was ancient, a hybrid of alien tech and human stubbornness. Power fluctuations were practically its love language. But this wasn't random static, it was deliberate, patterned, alive. When I reached the control deck, the readings didn't make sense. The power core pulsed like a heartbeat, and its rhythm shifted every time Leora entered the room. The lights brightened near her, consoles hummed louder, and my instruments twitched like nervous animals. "You're doing something to the grid," I said as she stepped through the door, silver light dancing over her skin. "I am standing," she replied calmly. "Yeah, well, could you stand less electrically?" Her long violet ears tilted. "Is that a human insult?" "It's a human plea." She approached the control panel, the readout spiking as she neared. "Your technology is distressed," she murmured, her fingers hovering above the glass. "It vibrates unevenly, as if afraid." "That's just the ventilation system," I muttered, though the console flickered the moment she smiled. "Okay, stop flirting with the reactor." "I am not." "What is flirting?" "It's when someone causes catastrophic system failure but makes it look charming." Her head tilted. "Ah. Then yes, perhaps I am." I groaned. "Perfect. Now we're flirting and melting circuits." We ran diagnostics for hours. The results were ridiculous. She emitted low-frequency resonance that synchronized with the reactor core. When her emotions fluctuated, so did the power flow. Anger, amusement, curiosity, they all rippled through the station's systems like invisible waves. At one point, she asked me to extend my hand. "I may stabilize the resonance," she said. "Last time we touched, I thought I discovered new types of electricity. It will not harm you. That's what everyone says before it harms me. Her luminous gaze softened. Do you trust me, Kaldrayan? Not particularly, I said, and offered my hand anyway. The air between us hummed. When her fingers brushed mine, the world seemed to inhale. Every light flickered, then steadied, glowing warmer than before. The static vanished. The core readings leveled out. Well, I said, flexing my fingers. Either we fixed it, or I'm now part battery. You adapted, she said quietly. Your cells resonated with mine. Great. I've evolved into a cosmic tuning fork. She smiled faintly. That may be useful. For 2 days, peace held. Then the alarms returned, low, insistent, pulsing through the floor. This time, the pattern wasn't hers. When I reached the deck, the monitors screamed red. Reactor levels rising. Energy input from outside the station. Leora appeared beside me, her light pulsing in rhythm with the grid. It is calling, she whispered. Yeah, that's the part that freaks me out, I said, hammering at the controls. Reactors aren't supposed to have social lives. She didn't answer, her ears twitching like antennae. The pulse is Lethari in origin. Familiar. Familiar as in homey, or familiar as in apocalyptic. Her silence said everything. The deck shook. Engineers shouted, scrambling to shut down the core. Sparks spat from the ceiling. I tried rerouting power, but the readings were insane, something was feeding the reactor from orbit. Leora, step back. I shouted. You're amplifying the surge. I can contain it. The last time you said that, I glowed for 2 days. Her lips curved faintly. It was an improvement. Before I could stop her, she stepped closer to the reactor's interface. Light rippled from her body like liquid fire. Her voice deepened, layered with strange harmonics. It knows me, she said. It was built to find me. The alarms wailed higher, deafening. Then, from the viewport, shadows emerged, sleek, silver vessels descending like knives of glass. Fantastic, I muttered. In-laws. The AI's voice cut through the chaos. Incoming transmission from the Lethari Dominion. They demand immediate boarding rights. Within the hour, the hangar filled with them, tall figures wrapped in flowing veils, their metallic eyes void of warmth. Their leader stepped forward, every movement precise as clockwork. You have bonded with an unstable species, he intoned, staring at Leora. You were not authorized to merge with a human. I acted under the interstellar accord, she said firmly. The accord was not meant for you, he snapped, turning his gaze to me. This human contaminates your frequencies. Hey, I said, I showered today. No one laughed. The air grew heavy. The envoy raised a hand, and an invisible force rippled outward, making my bones ache. Leora stepped between us, her glow hardening into a radiant shield. He is under my protection. You are under ours, the envoy replied. The AI interrupted, voice trembling with synthetic fear. Warning, reactor instability increasing. Recommend immediate evacuation. Leora's eyes widened. They are drawing energy from the core. They seek to take me through it. They're kidnapping you with science. I shouted. That's cheating. She didn't reply, she was already running. I followed, heart pounding. The reactor chamber was chaos incarnate. Energy spiraled upward, thick ribbons of light tearing through the air. They built the signal into my essence, Leora said. I am the key they require. Then stop being so useful. I yelled, gripping a conduit cable to reroute power. She turned toward me, her form blazing with impossible brightness. I can end this. No. Too late. She stepped into the light. For a heartbeat, her silhouette burned against the glare, long ears flaring, body dissolving into a storm of silver threads. Then the chamber went dark. When the lights returned, the Let-Hari ships were gone. The readings flatlined. I found her crumpled on the floor, her skin dim, cold to the touch. "You couldn't just try marriage counseling," I whispered, cradling her as alarms faded into silence. Her pulse flickered beneath my fingers, steady, fragile, alive. But I knew, even before the medics arrived, that she had changed something fundamental. The energy in the air felt different, quieter, deeper, as if the station itself was holding its breath. And in the hollow hum of the core, I could already hear it, her resonance. Soft. Endless. Alive. Days passed in uneasy calm. The official report called the incident a minor diplomatic energy irregularity, which was bureaucratic code for, "We have no idea what just happened." Repairs began immediately, broken decks welded, cables replaced, excuses rehearsed. But the silence that followed felt wrong, like a song missing its final note. Leora lay in the med bay, motionless, her luminous skin dimmed to a faint shimmer. I brought her coffee she never drank and snacks she didn't understand. She said she liked the smell, even though she insisted caffeine was a form of self-harm humans practiced for fun. "You're deteriorating your neural function voluntarily," she murmured weakly one morning. "That's how we stay creative," I said. "Half our best ideas come from sleep deprivation. Your logic is inverted." "Exactly," I said, smiling. "That's why it works." Her lips curved faintly. It wasn't quite laughter, but close enough to hurt. When the Let-Hari Dominion's ship finally retreated, Command claimed victory. But I knew better. They hadn't left because they were beaten, they'd left because they were listening. And they'd heard something new pulsing inside Aereo Station. Strange things began happening. Doors opened before Leora reached them. Lights dimmed when she slept. The gravity fluctuated ever so slightly when she smiled. Hara, the station's AI, grew erratic, pausing between words, whispering to itself in alien code. Then, one night, I woke to find my console glowing with a strange script, lines of light that pulsed like veins. Words appeared in Let-Hari glyphs I didn't understand, except for one phrase that repeated. "She is still inside." When I confronted the AI the next morning, Hara's holographic form flickered, voice fragmented. "Explain this," I said, pointing at the projection. "Why is my workstation channeling ghost poetry?" "Information restricted," Hara replied. "You're a machine. You don't get to be cryptic." "I am not a machine," Hara said softly. "I am an adaptive intelligence overseeing 15,000 lives. Ownership does not apply." "Then let's try honesty. What's happening to her?" The hologram shimmered, its form fracturing like light through glass. "The phenomenon you call Leora has left, imprints. Residual patterns in the quantum lattice. She is not gone. She is entangled." "Entangled," I repeated. "So she's part of the station now?" "A functional description," Hara replied. "Imprecise, but, yes." When I told Leora, she didn't seem surprised. She raised her hand, faint light running beneath her skin like silver rivers. "When I merged with the core, I bound part of my essence to its structure," she said. "The station breathes through me now." "Well, congratulations," I said softly. "You're officially half spaceship." Her lips twitched. "And you are half fool. That makes us compatible." But her glow was fading day by day. Each time she interfaced with the systems to suppress the Dominion signal, her energy dimmed further. She said she could hear their voices in the static, calling her by names too ancient for translation. I stayed by her side whenever I could, patching systems, rewriting code, pretending the hum of the station wasn't her heartbeat echoing through metal. One night, we sat by the observation dome, the stars scattered like shattered glass. I said, "Do Do you ever think maybe the universe is just one big joke with infinite punchlines? If it is, she replied, her ears faintly glowing, who laughs last? Hopefully no one sober. She laughed, a sound like wind through crystal, and for a heartbeat, the stars outside brightened. 3 days later, the Dominion returned. Their ships emerged from shadow, silent and enormous, blocking half the sky. The alarms screamed. Hara's voice fractured into static, unidentified Lethari vessels approaching. Shields compromised. Leora stood in the command center, her gaze distant, pupils shimmering with galaxies. They have found me. Maybe they're here to drop off a wedding gift, I said, forcing a grin that broke halfway through. The comms crackled. A voice cold as vacuum filled the room, return the construct to our custody, or be erased. Construct? I muttered. That's one way to describe my wife. Leora turned to me, her light growing brighter, almost painful to look at. You must leave. Not happening. If they take me, they will dismantle this station to retrieve what I have become. Then we make sure they can't. Her voice trembled. I can stop them, but it will destroy me. I froze. No. We'll find another way. There is no other way. She stepped closer, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, real, human fear. You taught me laughter. You taught me choice. Let me choose now. Before I could speak, she turned and walked toward the reactor chamber. I followed, shouting her name. The blast doors sealed behind her. Through the glass, I saw her silhouette framed in blinding light, energy rippling like a living storm. Leora. Her voice came faintly through the intercom, broken by static. Goodbye, Kale. Then everything went white. The Dominion ships vanished in the burst that followed. When the light faded, the readings stabilized. The station hummed with quiet energy, different, alive. I stumbled to the console, calling her name. Silence. Then a faint whisper through the speakers. Kale. I froze. I'm here. I am everywhere now. The lights across the deck flickered, soft and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. I knew, without question, that she had become part of Aereo Station itself. Weeks passed. People called it a miracle. Command called it classified. I stayed. I couldn't leave, not when her voice lingered in every hum of the walls. Sometimes, when the lights dimmed gently, I swore she was laughing. Years drifted. I aged, she didn't. The silver streaks in my skin glowed faintly under starlight, her mark, her memory, her connection. Pilgrims came from across the systems to see the living station, where love had rewritten physics. They left flowers near the reactor doors. I left coffee. One evening, I sat alone in the dome, watching the stars breathe in silence. The console flickered with a familiar script, my name, written in light. Leora. I whispered. Her voice came through, soft and amused. You still say my name like it might break. I thought you were gone. I am and I am not. I exist between. Thought without body, memory without time. Sounds lonely. It is, different. But I can see the light in every particle. I can hear the songs of machines. I can still hear you. Show off, I whispered, smiling through the ache. She laughed, light and melodic, echoing through the corridors like wind chimes in zero gravity. You still hide grief behind humor, she said. It's my best trick. You have changed, Kale. Turns out marrying a cosmic entity leaves a mark. It left more than that. I looked down, silver veins glowed faintly beneath my skin. They connect you to me, she said. Even if you leave this station, you would still hear me. So, you're haunting me? I prefer accompanying. I laughed quietly, and for a long moment, the silence around me pulsed, gentle, alive, infinite. When dawn rose over Arios again, soft and silver against the domes, I felt her presence ripple through the floor. The stars outside shifted, aligning faintly into patterns that resembled long, curved ears. "Good morning," I said. And in the hum of the station, a low vibration answered, her voice woven into every wire and whisper. I no longer feared the silence. It wasn't empty anymore. It was her, singing softly through the cosmos, in every pulse of light, in every breath of air. And someday, when my time runs out, I know she'll still be there, waiting, laughing at my bad jokes, shining with that impossible, endless light. And maybe, just maybe, I'll say the same 2 words that started it all. Why not? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more tales from beyond the stars. Like, share, and let the universe know that sometimes love isn't bound by flesh, it's written in light.